As Afghans prepare for an election, the generals and politicians in Western capitals are pondering their future strategy for Afghanistan. The cost of the conflict, measured in money and lives, is rising. Since 2001, nearly 1,400 coalition soldiers have been killed while on duty in Afghanistan, including 11 Australians. Very soon, President Obama will have to make a decision which could define his presidency. Should the US and NATO send in more troops, or should the coalition fundamentally alter its strategy? Freelance journalist Ash Sweeting filed this exclusive report for Lateline about life on the ground in Tirin, the capital of Uruzgan province, where 1,500 Australian soldiers are based.
The situation is serious, and I choose that word very, very carefully. I also say that neither success or failure for our endeavor there in support of the Afghan people and the government can be taken for granted. My assessment, my best military judgment as I term it, is that the situation is in some ways deteriorating, but not in all ways.
In Uruzgan province, 1,500 Australian troops are fighting an elusive enemy, while ordinary Afghans live in fear. When the Australians and the insurgents trade blows, the reprisals fall on the local people. This is the best electronics store in the province, but less than 1 in 10 homes have electricity, so there's not much demand for light bulbs. As his business struggles, Mohammed Ghani is not so sure that 8 years of Western intervention has helped his country. What Mohammed Ghani yearns for is for his own government to have real authority here. This semi-leavened bread is a staple of the Afghan diet. The baker's methods are unaltered over the centuries, but hope that things would change outside the bakery walls is stalling. The West has spent more than $200 billion over the last 8 years in Afghanistan, and paid in casualties too. 50 foreign soldiers have died in Uruzgan, and nearly 1,400 coalition soldiers have been killed across the country. The gains have been slight. There's very little water, not much electricity, barely any roads, and no jobs. Abdullah lives here with his family, just 1 kilometre from the base that houses 1,500 Australian soldiers. Their meagre earnings come from collecting empty bullet casings and other scrap metal and selling them in the bazaar. Poverty is not their only worry. Abdullah's family was forced to flee from the village of Langar because of Taliban revenge attacks. Last spring, the Australian Special Forces spent 3 days fighting the Taliban in Langar, a village about 40 kilometres from Tirin. During the operation, 12 Taliban and 1 civilian were killed. About 3 days after the SAS returned to base, 6 Taliban commanders with their gunmen turned up to the village of Langar to exact revenge. Nurullah's father was one of those killed, leaving him as the head of the family at just 18 years of age. He feels he has a duty beyond his job as a policeman. He's adding his own personal vendetta to Afghanistan's deep history of tribal feuds. He wants the blood of the 6 Taliban commanders who killed his father. He says he's angry and that he'll find the Taliban commanders and kill them. And he may get his chance. Like many Afghan police, Nurullah is now working with Australian Special Forces. Filling the political vacuum left by the Karzai government in far-off Kabul are people like Matiullah Khan. The tribal elder is building a school for 1,500 children. But the powerful here do not always share the concerns of the West. No girls will be educated at this school. He often gives handouts to the people here. He can afford to, because he also deals in the real power here, the power of the gun. He's so powerful that no vehicles travel on the road south to Kandahar without his permission. Only a few hundred metres from the Australians' heavily fortified base, even he doesn't travel without a full complement of bodyguards. The warlord has aligned himself with the strongest fighters here. Afghanistan needs basic infrastructure. The bigger projects, roads and bridges, fall to the international donors. So aid money trickles down to projects like this. Ghulam Saki works here every day on the outskirts of Tirin. The workers get paid $2 for every wire cage they can fill with stones. Working in pairs, they usually make $4 a day. Right now, getting into town can mean relying on a basic ferry service. The new bridge will replace it and the footbridges. The aim is to allow more cars, utes and donkeys access to the city and expand the meagre local economy. What's more difficult to build are the institutions of a nation-state. The West and the Afghans want the rule of law. But for many people here, the only legal system they've experienced that works is Sharia, strict Islamic law.
دا شنه جر برابرۍ دا زموږ خلک مینه په قصاص سره به نو قصاص چې قرآن او خدای ویلي دي خدای تعالی در هر چا پیږي قادر ذاتي نو چې هغه وايي په قصاص کې ستوي ژوند په امان دی حقیقت دا چې اوس دا اوس به یو کیسه زړه د څوک چې طالبان رااله موږ په ګر چې یو د حالات نه مې دی دا قصاص کوي یو خجمن نه مې دی دا قصاص کوي په دې ګر چې دغه نسړې نو د دوه غلو لاسونه پرې کړه په ګر چې دغه نسړې نو چې د مور سره داوا کړې وای.
It may be a model of government that is used by the enemies of the West. But he says people felt safer when the Taliban ran the country. Without security, fear is everywhere. I asked every shopkeeper I could find in this bazaar to speak to me on camera. But they all said they were too scared. If the Taliban saw them on television, they said they were afraid they'd be killed.
If we say we are here for you, we respect and want to protect you, and then we destroy their home, kill their relatives, destroy their crops, it's difficult for them to connect those two. And it would be difficult for us to connect those. So the understanding must be that we respect the people.